Early in the year, we visited the set of Marvel's Doctor Strange. Here are the most interesting things we learned that day. Doctor Strange is a new type of hero for the Marvel Universe. Both Benedict Cumberbatch and director Scott Derrickson described the character as lonely. His story is one of trauma and immense personal suffering. Eventually, he's transformed by that pain, finding transcendence through the mystic arts. But even then, he finds himself isolated from the world and the people he's now sworn to protect. Even though this is the 14th movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Doctor Strange will very much play like a standalone film. In fact, Kevin Feige said there's nothing in the movie to indicate it's connected to a much bigger universe. This is an introduction to a complex new character, and it takes all the running time to accomplish that. Of course, Strange will eventually be incorporated into the MCU, but it sounds like he'll only get involved when the stakes are seriously high. If Netflix's Defenders are the blue-collar heroes, looking after neighborhoods and street corners, and the Avengers shield the planet from alien invaders, Strange and his fellow sorcerers are the ones who protect reality itself from being annihilated. In the words of Kevin Feige, they're thinking if we don't keep vigilant, our sense of reality will disappear, and there won't be a bank to rob, and there won't be a city to be conquered. While not a direct adaptation, Doctor Strange is taking cues from The Oath, a 5-issue miniseries which did a lot to update the character and his relationship with his friend and partner Wong, into Shambhala, which reads more like a theosophical tract than your typical superhero graphic novel, and finally, the work of Steve Ditko. His name came up time and time again on set. Inspired by his run, Marvel is trying to develop visuals that have never been seen before on the big screen. It was referred to as the single biggest challenge facing the production. How do you bring to life the imagination of Ditko? Thor once said he came from a place where science and magic are one and the same. Doctor Strange takes a similar approach. The Ancient One dissolves Strange's skepticism by revealing the underlying similarities between the mystic arts and scientific discovery. This is Marvel's first proper foray into the supernatural, but in fact it's building on the groundwork laid down in Thor and more recently Ant-Man, which gave us a glimpse into the quantum realm. Strange will take us even deeper, exploring its potential in the form of parallel dimensions, not just different versions of Earth, but strange other realities. One of the biggest challenges was coming up with a new way to depict magic on the big screen. Derrickson wanted to break from tradition, move away from characters simply hurling bolts of coloured light at one another, and develop a more dynamic presentation. If you look closely at the spells cast by Strange, they're more structured and controlled than other forms of movie magic. They're expressions of his immense learning, more akin to scientific equations than arcane energy. Wong is almost entirely reinvented. Any trace of him being a manservant or a psychic to Strange have rightfully been left in the past. He's now also a master of the mystic arts and one of Strange's intellectual mentors. Within Camotage, he looks after the relics and ancient books. So apart from retaining his name and Chinese heritage, expect to see a very different incarnation of the character. Similarly, Mordo's character has almost been entirely rebuilt. In the early comics, he's an incredibly arch, one-dimensional character, who immediately sees Strange as a rival for the Ancient One's attention. With a face like that, he couldn't be anything other than a villain, could he? While the character may still eventually get to that place, Derrickson's more interested in showing who Mordo is right now, a friend to Strange, and one of his main advocates within Camotage. So one day, when the villainous turn comes, the hope is that it will feel believable and have greater dramatic punch. The Ancient One isn't a person per se, but an inherited title. It can be held for hundreds of years, and in this film it happens to be held by a female sorcerer of Celtic descent, played by Tilda Swinton. She's been around for so long, those around her have forgotten her past. For them, she has always been the Ancient One. Ostensibly, the villain is Caecilius, played by Mads Mikkelsen. This is an extremely obscure villain to choose, appearing in just a handful of issues of Strange Tales. In the movie, Caecilius turns on his fellow sorcerers because of an ideological rift. He believes, along with a small band of zealots, the Ancient One is holding back humanity. Derrickson compared him to Kevin Spacey's John Doe in Seven. He's a man of compelling ideas, who's able to justify his terrible worldview. Intriguingly though, there seems to be a darker force at work through Caecilius. Derrickson compares the dynamic to Saruman and Sauron in Lord of the Rings. So who's Sauron in this setup? In the comics, Caecilius worked for Mordo, who was in turn controlled by the interdimensional being Dormammu. We reckon the movie's going to leave Mordo out of the equation for the minute and set up Dormammu for future Marvel movies. The movie is structured around 4 classic action sequences, including a foot chase and a race against the clock. While they start off unremarkably, they quickly become much more fantastical as the sequence unfolds. There's a big martial arts influence on the movie. Derrison believes it's the style of action that blends best with the supernatural. In fact, the supernatural is a well-established subgenre within martial arts cinema. The fights will always be subsumed, however, into something much more fantastical and trippy, so it's never just a straight-up fight. Although no one would confirm it, the Eye of Agamotto is almost certainly an Infinity Stone. Feige said if you're tracking such things, perhaps one will turn up in Strange, but it wouldn't feature as a substantial plot point since there's so much else to get into. Daniel Drum and Tina Minoru both make an appearance in the movie as masters of the mystic arts. Both are cameos, however, with only Drum being mentioned by name according to Feige. But Drum lays the groundwork for his brother, Jericho, aka Brother Voodoo, appearing in future movies, while Minoru's inclusion, however slight, is still exciting because it opens the possibility of the Runaways one day becoming a part of the MCU. From the conversations had on set, Doctor Strange 2 almost seems nailed on. So many foundations are being laid down. Cumberbatch was excited about digging deeper into the character, even mentioning the possibility of the Illuminati, a secret organisation of powerful superheroes, a sort of clandestine Avengers. He didn't go into any more detail, but it's clear that Doctor Strange has been established as a major presence in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.